Okay, here we are getting into 1984 with Dad, my father, Mike McGann. So this is up here at Crest Air Park, where we are currently as of right now. So tell us about 1984.
Well, 1984, we were renting a house because we hadn't built one yet on the airport. But then started out with local flying, and we got the Baron up there and all that, the one you see there. And we would spent a lot of time knocking around in that, and also still flying the Grumman for local flights and so forth. And I did the business trip down to Santa Monica with Bob Buell, who's a good friend of mine who worked at the Robbins Company with me, and we were doing business and parked the airplane at Santa Monica Airport. So we come back after a couple of days of working down there, and there was an earthquake at the same time. That was interesting, but that's another story. And turns out that somebody had broken into the nose compartment baggage area and broken the hinges on the thing, and so I had to duct tape it all together and flew it to fly it back home and get it fixed right. Sort of a pain down there. Last time I went to Santa Monica.
They steal anything out of there?
Yeah, I think they got a portable VHF radio and a few other little things, but no big deal. So then I did some more instrument work. I finally got signed off again in the Baron with instrument instruction and so forth, so I was good to go. And then we did a lot of local stuff, and we did a big business trip with Jeffrey with me, and we flew to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and met some business people there. And then from Milwaukee went to Howell, Michigan, and then from then to Cayuga, Georgia, and then to Cincinnati and at Lincoln, and again just talking businesses of various dealers and so forth that work with our Robbins Company. And then from there we flew into Beakley, West Virginia, and that was kind of an interesting trip because I don't know if Jeff you remember, but there was a bunch of mountains on each side, and we had to come down between the two.
Well, and was that the one where when you took off, there was just a big gigantic cliff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And then we flew on into to Greenville and met with our family and so forth. And Jeff and I flew down to Orlando, Florida to go to, where was that we went to?
Epcot.
Epcot, yeah, which was pretty interesting visitation. I thought we also went to SeaWorld too at the same time.
Probably did.
Yeah.
I just remember Epcot was kind of a, seemed like a newer thing or something. Yeah, futuristic.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. And then we were leaving out of Orlando to fly into Lafayette, where I had another business meeting scheduled. And as soon as we got out of Orlando, it was just thunderstorms, embedded thunderstorms all the way into Lafayette. It was just banging around. It was pretty bad.
That was the worst turbulence I can ever remember.
Yeah. There was one worse time, but anyway, yeah.
Not with me, I don't think.
Maybe not, but yeah, I think the worst one was with Charlene one time. But yeah, they from Lafayette we went into Houston and met with the family for a while, and
so hey, Dad, interrupt you here, but when you're flying through that bad of turbulence, I remember you having to slow to maneuvering speed because it was so bad, and that thing has a shock mounted instrument panel on the left side.
Yeah.
And so I just remember that you know, it was full control all the way to the stops, and you couldn't see anything because your eyeballs were bouncing around on your skull so bad. I can remember that.
One of the things I put in my early airplanes is a G meter, and I've always put those in just because I wanted to know if I'm getting close to where the failure rate is. You know, it's 3.8 G's positive, and you can go 50% over before you start breaking stuff, and so, but even banging around like that, we didn't drive the G meter much above 4 G, so it was, you know, I felt I was safe in the airplane as long as it maintained control. So that was,
well, and that's the key right there.
Yeah. And then so we made her home, and but that summer we would do is fly up to Friday Harbor and then spend a couple, 3-4 days on our sailboat that we kept at Friday Harbor, and that was kind of cool. And then later on, we flew to Sun River and around in Arlington and all that for the thing. And then about August, I came home one day and got a phone call that Andy DeBrino had died in an airplane wreck. And the story was that he and a neighbor had got in a sports airplane, bi-wing, and they were buzzing another neighbor who had moved over to a small town a few miles away from Olinger, and they gave him a buzz job, dove down, and pulled up, but they stalled the thing, could not get it flying again, and they ended up nosing it into the ground. Both of them were killed instantly, and from the story I heard was that they hit so hard with their shoulder harnesses that it popped their eyeballs out of their head. I can't think of anything more horrible. So we were just shocked about that. And then a few days later, we flew to Spokane to pick up Larry Nelson and his wife and Jeff, and we flew down to Olinger to attend the funeral down there. And I don't know if, Jeff, you remember that one.
Oh, I definitely remember that. Here's a picture of Andy.
Yeah, here's another one.
He was just a character. And that's... Yep, and then right here in this picture, Andy in the middle, Dad on the right, and then on the left, that's Chuck Simonson, his Baron behind him, and he was the, he was the guy that Andy was buzzing there. And Daryl Burns was our neighbor,
yeah,
who also passed away, and they were close to pulling it out, from what Chuck said.
Yeah.
But it was from what I remember Chuck saying, it was they did a hammerhead into the wind, and then came downwind, and did another hammerhead, and that's when they stalled it. Yeah, and it was an experimental biplane, is what it was. A really tragic, horrible thing. But he was Andy was a character. He's the guy that had the T6, had the 320 that you guys seen in that picture of him standing in front of that yellow 320, belly landing it, and he was actually with Chuck at the time. And said they were just chit-chatting, But he was really, I think you got a little video of him. It's pretty funny. Yeah. This was probably around the late, probably like 80, 81.
Yeah, something like that.
And they were
ranch.
Yeah, and then he had a Baron at the time, not this Baron, but a different one that he apparently had a horrible landing, and you can play that.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
This is Andy over here.
Say hello, Andy.
Hello there. How you doing here, Michael?
And this is Bob Johnson.
No, most people call me John Johnson. Thanks anyway.
Sorry about that. We'll get a waitress over here in a minute. Get some service.
I need a piece of pie.
I don't know where our pie is.
Andy, I want you to describe your landing real quick.
That landing, it was horrible. That's the way it was. It was absolutely horrible. I'm not going to describe it any more than that.
Yeah, Andy about that time had about 30 hours in his new Turbo Commander, and it was he kept it over at the Hillsborough Airport, and I think he gave us a ride in it one time, and it was pretty fancy. I think you were with me, weren't you, Jeff? Did you take that ride?
I think so. I vaguely remember.
remember. The Turbo Commander is a high wing airplane with turbo engines on the side, and it's really sad. And his wife Ruth continued on flying. She became president of the Beaverton and Oregon Pilots Association later on, and they bought her own Aero Commander, not Aero Commander, but
Piper Aero.
Piper Aero.
She still has that.
Yeah, she still has it, still flies. So, it's in the DeBrino family, and we all miss Andy. He was a great neighbor, right next to me there, and you did see the pictures of the Tri-Pacer that came out of his swimming pool and all that. So it really was a sad thing to get a phone call like that and lose a friend and neighbor.
Yeah, and he had about, I remember he had a 340 on that 2000 Grassfoot runway.
Yeah.
So he had a 210, a 320, a 310, a 337 Skymaster out of there. So the one, two Barons. And so the one airplane he couldn't get was the turbo prop Aero Commander in there. But
in there, yeah, I had
the T6, said that, and the T6.
T6 he kept over in Hillsborough.
But he would fly it in there.
Oh
though.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was really a good neighbor.
He had a gyrocopter at one time.
Yeah, that thing was.
Well, he crashed that,
yeah.
and but that was years ago. But yeah, real really cool guy. We definitely miss him. His son, who Keith, was I believe like 18 years old, took over their business and still runs it today and done real well. And his son's name's Andy, and he races road races, sport bikes, motorcycles. So anyway, yeah.
Went down there one time when I was buying the Baron from Andy to pay off the debt and so forth, and he has an office full of trophies.
Yeah, and this was
Keith.
Keith.
A lot of trophies, but he's got a zillion of them in that office packed.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, so then his son now is a big time road racer, so it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they sure kept him in the family. So
yeah,
that was a great year, '84, and then '85 comes up next, and lucked out and bought a lot here on Crest and built my own house.
And we'll see you then.
Yeah.
A great year, other than Andy's passing away, of course.
Yeah.
We'll see y'all.